Welcome to the Springwood Yoga Studio. This is week 10. We'll focus on some standing and twisting forward bend poses. So I'm going to invite Christy to come and join me for the invocation. Sit up in the cross-legged position. In fact, once you've crossed your legs, cross them again the other way. So use the non-preferred side. Use your palms to press down to create a lift up into the chest and opening up into the chest. Widen across the collarbones. We'll let the exhalation breath be down into the pelvis to become stable there. Engage the sitting bones down, tailbone down. So just take your awareness now to your abdomen, the sides of the abdomen long and tall, and the abdomen slightly scoop back towards the back waist. Release the shoulder blades further down into the back. Keep the navel slightly drawn back and across the bottom ribs, the diaphragm area broad and uplifted. Place the hands into Atma Mudra. Quieten the eyes, close the eyes, and become sensitive to the body within. Now you might feel more acutely the sitting bones, the positioning of the pelvis, the sides of the trunk uplifted to the armpit, head quiet, face passive. Even breath, smooth inhalation, smooth deep exhalation. Settle to the breath within. And then inhale. And now exhale, bow the head down, surrendering to the inner spirit and to the teachings of wk10 and Gita Iyengar. And now let the head release and the palms release. Okay, so Chris is going to set up in Supta Baddha Konasana. Use a belt, blanket, bolster. If you haven't got bolster, you can use a couple of blocks underneath the spine, or otherwise even a lengthwise blanket. I'm going to disturb the picture for a moment, but just setting up in Supta Baddha Konasana because I need to check the volume button. So setting up in Supta Baddha Konasana, see that the spine is supported. Whatever support you have, the support is there for the spine, the chest to open. Settle to the inhalation and exhalation breath. And again, let there be that anchorage down through the pelvis here, so the exhalation breath, move it into the pelvis to begin with. Let the sitting bones release to the floor. But also with your exhalation breath, let the groins, each side of the pubic plate, release down towards the floor. Become aware of the rib cage, its positioning, that it's not pushed forward away from the pelvis, but let there be a balance between the pelvis and the position of the rib cage. So just making sure that you have tucked the buttocks away from the bolster, and enough height underneath the head so the shoulder tips can release and then the throat can soften. So Christy has quite a large bolster there. I'm going to actually get you to heighten more height underneath the head. Just because the bolster is really big, it's sort of throwing your head slightly back. Maybe fold it into 4. So at home you might not know the size of your bolster and know what the head height needs to be in relationship to that. But Christy's quite small and she has a very large bolster, so that's why we're increasing the height so that the head is more, the face is angled down into the chest. And now with that sort of slight change in position of the head and face, you might find that you can center much more easily to the breath and into the body. If the head is thrown back, then often the head can become busy with thoughts disconnected from the body, disconnected from the breath. Now see that the face is settled. Release any expression from the face. Ungrip the jaw, tongue, and consciously spread across the back of the neck. Spread also across the base, the top of the neck, where the occiput is. Spread it wide. Spread wide with the diaphragm as you exhale. Let there be a broadening of the diaphragm there. Releasing the breath from the body completely. And lastly, now see that the mind has settled and quietened completely. If there's still wandering of the mind, then again bring it back to the breath. Be attentive to your breath. Make it smooth and even. And we need to, in this first pose, really learn to let go of what might have happened previously or things that we're planning for the rest of the day. We need to learn to become completely present here now in the body to the breath. So now without too much disturbance, can you change your leg position to swastikasana, cross leg, and fold the arms above the head. Now you may be able to either take that blanket out from underneath the head or at least lower it a little bit. Yeah, because now we're working a slightly different position with the arms above the head. So here in Supta Swastikasana, emphasizing the sides of the body and the length through. The other position was much wider, knees were wide, arms were wide. Now you're working the vertical length through the body. Still let across the diaphragm be broad and wide, especially with the exhalation breath. Release any tension from the ribs. Release with your exhalation breath any tension in the armpit. And also let there be that softening of the groins, each side of the pubic plate. Let them deepen, release towards the floor with your exhalation breath. Again, scan the face. Is there any tension? Especially with the arms above the head now, often that can bring the energy back into the head. So just consciously exhale down into the chest. Let the face become passive. Back of the head release into the bolster. And then change the crossing of the legs, folding of the arms. You might need to adjust the buttock flesh away from the bolster there. Be evenly placed on the hips. Sometimes we do have a tighter groin, hip side, and that might feel slightly imbalanced, especially on that second side. But you just want to make sure that the pelvis is balanced. The knees might not be quite, especially with the crossing of the legs. Again, observe for any tension in the ribs. Exhale to release that tension in the ribs. Broad diaphragm. Exhale right down into the groins there. Let there be a release of the groins, each side of the pubic plate to the floor. Relax the jaw, tongue, between the eyebrows, spread completely. Take the eyes deeper and deeper, looking into the chest, to the breath. And now releasing the arms and open the eyes. Inhale, support yourself, come up and take yourself to Adho Mukha Virasana. Forward Virasana. Yep. Yep. Place the hands, place the shins. Let the abdomen move forward here, away from that top thigh crease. Keep with each exhalation breath moving the abdomen forward. And again spreading across the diaphragm from the center to the sides. Spread wide across the diaphragm. See that there is that movement forward right from the top thigh crease. So it is called forward virasana. So the sides of the body move forward, the spine's moving forward. Okay, excuse me. And then coming up. So I'm going to get Christy to actually, put another, we're going to have two mats so that you don't have to keep swapping them around. So at home you obviously will have to do that. We're going to do like a cross mat thing. And you'll need a blanket and a belt. Together. So we're going to begin with some floor work, some abdominals. You're going to take a blanket and fold it lengthways into three. And Christy can start with just sitting forward in Dandasana with your feet towards the screen. And you're going to put that three-fold blanket between the inside leg. So if you've got thinner ones, you might even do it four-fold, 3 or 4-fold, along the inside leg. You can take your belt and you can strap your calves, your outer calves up. So it's going to go right around the bowest part of the calves. Yeah, so you want to tuck that blanket down each side of the inner leg and it hugs between the feet. So now Christy's actually going to lay down with her feet into the wall in Supta Tadasana. So now you need to maneuver and swing around and do whatever needs to be done. Yeah, and the belt around the calf, so feet to the wall, Christy. Yeah, feet to the wall. The belt around the calf is tight, so it's cutting the outer calf in. Yeah, have a good contact of the feet to the wall. Yeah, toes in, heels wide. Hug the inner foot around the blanket there. See that the shoulders are tucked down, excuse me, away from the ears. And now with each exhalation breath, you're going to deflate the front thighs. So actually, firstly, before you even do that, observe how much contact is of the back of the thigh to the floor. Everybody would be different. We all have different bodies. Can you tuck that blanket down a bit more, Christy, so it's not poking up so much between the inner legs? So you really want to get it down between the inside leg, especially that top area, so that the groins can move down. That's better. So now when I look from Christy, I can see that the blanket's sort of disappearing between the feet. It's not as important, but the groin area needs to move down. Now with each exhalation breath, you can take the arms a bit lower, just in Supta Tadasana, even a bit lower. Deflate the thighs. Deflate the thighs so that you bring more fullness into the back of the leg. Maybe more contact of the back of the leg to the floor. Also observe as you exhale and deflate the front thigh, what happens in the abdomen. Christy, you could bring your legs a bit to your left, slightly. Just, no, too much. That's actually too much, yeah. About there, yeah. And now emphasize the inside leg. And last week we did standing with a block between the feet, to emphasize that groin to inner heel. So here now, groin to inner heel. Move the groin down towards the floor and down towards the inner heel. Keep deflating the front thighs with your exhalation breath. Are the legs becoming more engaged as you do that deflating? Is there more contact of the back of the leg to the floor there? And see that the groins are moving down each side of the pubic plate. So this is your preparation for doing Urdhva Pasrita Padasana, the leg lifts. And we'll come to that now in a moment. But as the legs deflate or the thighs deflate, the abdomen finds that position back towards the spine. Okay, so now the others might just move away from the wall, but I'm going to ask Christy to just turn sideways so you can see what she's going to be doing. So maybe roll off to the side. Yeah, thanks, Christy. Lay yourself out and bring the legs up to 90 degrees. So you can stay in the position you were, but bringing the legs up to 90 degrees. So you can keep the palms to the floor at this point beside the hips. So now here you can look at the legs and still do that deflating of the thigh, front thigh. Deflate the front thigh, but also deflate the abdomen as the front thigh and groins move towards the window side here. So watching the exhalation breath. And you're going to actually do your abdominals today after the exhalation breath. So preparing, getting the shoulders anchored into the floor, the back of the armpit. Those that can work with the arms over the head, you can do. If you need more support, place the hands where Christy has beside the hips. So now exhale to deflate the abdomen and front thighs, and then take the legs to 60 degrees. And again, exhale, deflate the abdomen and thighs, 30. And down, touch lightly down. Inhale, bring the legs up. And now you're going to do 10 or thereabouts lifts. But actually not with the inhale, exhale breaths like we normally do. We're going to do it slightly different. So you're going to exhale to deflate the thighs and move after the exhalation breath to take the legs down. And then up. Then you might take a breath when the legs are up to 90. And exhale, go again. After the exhalation, move. Exhale to deflate the abdomen and thighs, then move. Inhale to bring the legs up. Exhale, deflate the abdomen, thighs, and go. So 10 like that. Keep deflating the abdomen before you move. Deflate the thighs before you move. So it will be a little bit more of a pause at the 90-degree mark. Keep the shoulders well anchored, the back of the shoulders, neck. See that the groins are not hardening. That's why you've got the blanket there. So the groins are drawing down each side of the pubic plate. If it's hard on anybody's backs, then you do this with bringing the knees up. Yeah, so you go down with straight legs, Christy can show that, and bend the knees to come up. Have you done 10 yet? Okay, and rest down. Once you've done 10, you just rest in Supta Tadasana. Now roll the top thigh deeply towards each other. Take the inner groin down towards the floor by extending through the inside edges of the heel. Press the inner heels away, make that inner leg super sharp. And again, deflate the front thighs with your exhalation. Okay, now you're going to go to Jatara Pavatasana. So this is where we take the legs out to the side. Yeah, maybe turn again towards me, Christy. Keep the blanket in. We're going to do it with bent knees first, so you'll be able to work with the blanket and the belt. So lay on your back, arms out to the side. Yep, anchoring for more support, you can use the palms down into the floor. Anchor the shoulder, the back of the shoulder, the armpit to the floor. And now bending the knees, setting your hips off to your left. So you can tuck the outer right hip under, yeah. And now squeeze the legs in towards each other. Hug into the belt. Roll the thighs and the groins down towards each other. And then exhale. After the exhalation breath, move. Knees over towards the elbows. Keep the knees up high. Shins to thighs. Shins to thighs. Squeeze the shins towards the thighs. Knees into the chest. Can you go a little bit lower still? Revolve the abdomen to your left. And inhale, bring the legs up. Center the hips. You can put the feet down. Center the hips. And now tuck the outer left hip under. Now knees up high into the chest. Squeeze the legs. Still have the inner heel extending. Groins deep each side of the pubic plate. Exhale first. Deflate the abdomen and then move after the exhalation breath. Squeezing the legs, knees up to the elbows, knees up high. Then you might come to somewhere and then you think, oh, I can go a little bit further. So again, exhale, deflate the abdomen and take the knees lower still. Right shoulder anchored. And inhale, bring the legs up. Okay, feet down. Now either you're going to repeat doing the knee bent position, or those that are able to work with the legs straight, full pose, Jatara Pavatasana, legs straight out to the side. So again, lift the hips, tuck the outer right hip under, firm the legs in towards each other, press out into the inner heel, groins deep, straighten the legs up if you're doing 90. You don't have to, Christy, you do what you need to do. And then revolve the legs to your right. Now feet towards the palms, high with the legs, high with the legs. High with the legs, good. Squeeze the legs. Great. Inhale, bring the legs up. You can bend the knees to bring the legs up. Yep, set the feet down, center yourself. And then again, off to your left, tuck the outer left hip under. Firm the legs, now either knees into the chest or legs straight. Inner heels extend, groins pull them back deep down towards the pubic plate. And now revolve the legs to your left. Keep that right shoulder anchored. Suck back through the inner leg to the groins. Now legs up higher, higher towards the palms. And inhale, bring the legs up, bend the knees if needed, and feet down. Okay, pause there. You can just let the arms go a little bit lower. Use your exhalation breath to deflate the thighs and take the groins deep down towards the floor. So now the challenge is going to be to come up to standing. So bend the knees, roll to the side. Can you push it? Yeah, and then come up. So doing standing at Tadasana with all that equipment between the legs, is that okay? You feel a little bit like they have the legs tied. Hey? Yeah, like a penguin, that's right. Yeah, again, see that blanket, especially the top, is tucked back, so it takes the inner groins back. Yeah, and then feet positioned so that the toes are slightly tucked in. And now, so last week we did the block between the feet, and now you're here with that big blanket between the inner legs. So can you take the groins deeper back, that inner groin deeply back, press down through the inner heel, make that inside leg really be felt. Yeah, you're a bit like a penguin getting that blanket out of the way. And now where the outer calves are there, or the belt is in the outer calves, wrap the outer calves in towards each other from behind, from outer to behind. Squeeze them in, that's better. Especially if you've got the Bowie calves, this is really useful work. Watch that the groins haven't pushed forward. So groins back and down. Frontal hip bones narrow in now. But as the frontal hip bones narrow in, you're keeping width in the groins. Widen them away from each other, but narrow the frontal hip bones. So do the groins first. You'll create that width, and then the containing of the outer leg, outer hips in. Right shoulder down. And now feed that leg work right up through the trunk into the chest. And again, exhale to deflate the front thighs. Bring the front thigh to the bone. Fill into the back thigh. And last week we spoke about sunbursting the knees. So sunburst your knees open, and just above the knee, the back of the thigh, fill that area. Again, see that the groins are wide, moving away from each other. The frontal hip bones are moving closer in. So this groin work, we're going to take it through into some standing poses. Now, you are going to have to take that belt and blanket away, so take that belt and blanket away. But the sense of what the groins are doing, that's what I want you to still observe here. So you're going to take you can, if you haven't got a chair, you can use your hands to the wall, but we'll show it with the chair so it's sideways and you can see. Padottanasana. Go to a flat back position. Right leg forward, left leg back. So either hands onto the chair or hands onto the wall. So on that front right leg now, cut the outer calf in. Press the inside foot down. Don't let the outer calf hang there. Suck the outer calf in, inside heel press down. So as the inside heel presses down, then you can take that groin deeper back towards the window end. So outer calf, cut in, press the inside heel, and take that right inner groin back beside the pubic plate there. Take it deeper and deeper back. Then you might find naturally that the left hip comes more round. But now also strike the left inside heel down and take the left inner groin back towards the window end. So both inner groins are moving deeply back each side of the pubic plate. And now you can reach forward. Extend the sides of the trunk. Diaphragm, widen it from the center to the sides. Sides of the abdomen move forward. And hips absolutely level. Good. Inhale, lift the head and step in, change. Slightly, the back foot slightly out, Christy. No, out more. Turn the, no, sorry, angle the foot out. Yeah. Back foot is about 75-degree angle. So now here, cut the left inside thigh. Where you had the belt, cut it in. Yeah, wrap it from the outer to behind so that the inner foot gets an anchorage. As the inner foot gets an anchorage, take that left inside groin deeper back towards the window end. And then the right hip will revolve further around. And now extend the left inner groin to the right inner groin to the right inner heel. So both groins move each side of the pubic plate back towards the wall behind. And then you'll find that you will have the freedom of the trunk to move forward. Sides of the ribs move forward. Diaphragm broad from the center to the sides, widen the diaphragm. The resistance will be mostly in that left inner groin, so keep working that left inner groin back. That's better, Christy. So that the buttock mounds will be even now. Often I've described it about pulling the left side of the tailbone back more. And now let the back muscles soften. Exhale, head slightly down, Christy. Good, and inhale, bend the front knees, step in. Do Tadasana with the feet slightly apart, as if you've still got that blanket between the inner leg. And now, here again, that inner foot, press. Inner groin, take back and down towards the feet. But suck the outer leg up. Last week we talked about in dog pose the outer leg just 20 centimeters below the outer hip, sucking that up. So the frontal hip bones will slightly knit towards each other, groins stay broad and soft, back. Then the chest gets that natural buoyancy. And release. So now we're going to take it Parita Trikonasana. You're going to do it facing into the wall. And you might need a block as well, Christy, so have a block close by. You're going to do it with your left leg, Christy. Left leg forward. No, sorry. No, let's just do right foot towards the wall, everybody. Right foot forward. Sorry, your right hip is up against the wall. You're sideways along the wall, Christy. That's it. So when you turn, come into the twist, you're going to be facing the wall. Yeah. Okay, so the same applies here. You can go into the pose there, extend the left arm forward and down, use a block height there as needed. Position the hand slightly further forward with the block towards the feet, towards the toes, that's it. And now the same applies in what you worked in Paschimottanasana. The inside foot, the outer right calf, cut away from the wall. Press the inner foot down so that you get an anchorage. Then take from the inside heel pressing the inner right groin back towards the window end. Top arm can go up, Christy, if you can. Yeah, put it on the wall. You can slightly bend the elbow. And now stamp into that left inside heel and extend left inner groin to left inner heel. So both inner groins are going back towards the window. And now slightly resist the outer right hip away from the wall. Bring the left hip closer in and turn the abdomen. Revolve. Turn the chest. Revolve. With your exhalation breath, keep turning. There's their freedom to turn the head and look up with your left eye. Now come up. Inhale, press the back heel. It's a little bit tricky coming up from the wall. We might do it twice rather than holding you too long in it, just to get the little bit of depth in it. Do you want to put the mat? Just put your mat along again. Yeah. Or take it away or put it in or whatever you want to do. Yeah. If you've got wooden floors, I often work with no mat. I quite like it, at home. So left foot forward, left hip closest to the wall, right foot back. And place yourself, go to the pose. Now see that the outer left calf cut it in. Press the left inside heel down more then. And take that left inner groin back towards where the chair is there. Yeah. Then the right hip, revolve it and extend that inside right leg to the inner heel. Take the inner groin to the inner heel. Now both inner groins are moving back each side of the pubic plate. Then can you take an inhalation breath and lengthen the spine out. Turn as you exhale. Maybe even after the exhalation breath. So you soften the diaphragm before then you turn. Yeah, and you can keep walking that left arm up the wall. Even some of you might find you can bend that left elbow a bit and give you a little bit more leverage. Yeah, there you go. And now right ribs cut down, right ribs down to the floor. Left inner groin, still let it come. Don't let the groins go narrow. Widen the groins back. And change. Come up, inhale. Will we do it one more side? One more time? Sure. And obviously if you're doing it at home and you need more support, then go higher block, or you might do the first one quite high up against the wall to warm the spine up. We're going straight to the other arm down, Christy, left arm. Yeah, turning the chest, that's it. So watch that outer calf on the right leg. Don't let it spill. Cut it away from the wall. Inside, both inside heels, press. Groins, widen the groins back. Widen the groins back. But then knit the outer hips in. Knit the hips in closer, keep the groins wide and back towards the window end. And now exhale to turn the navel. Exhale to turn the chest, left chest closer towards the wall, move it there. Those that can, you can slightly bend that top arm, push so the right shoulder blade engages into the back. Can you take the head slightly back now? Now watch that the groins are not crisscrossing, keep them wide and back. And then come up, inhale, press the back heel, up you come, give those legs a bit of a shake. Do you get the sense of the groins, Christy, or not? Yeah. So like we did in Parsvattanasana, you want to keep that width there in the groins.
So I can think about moving them before anything actually moves.
Yeah. The groin work and the hip work, they're setting the pelvis, so the pelvis is stable. So then you can do that twisting action from. So that's why we work from feet to legs to hips firstly in our standings. Yeah. So outside left calf, cut in. Press the inside left heel down. Take both groins wide, widen them away from each other. Take them back each side of the pubic plate. And then narrow the hips in. Left hip to right, right hip to left. And now you've set the hips stable. Then can you turn with your exhalation breath? Now we're turning with the energetic body. Revolving, breathing and turning. That's how we get the penetration with the breath lastly. Penetrate into the body. Lastly, can you look up? Is there freedom to look up? If there's still not, then keep coming, turning from the spine. Up you come, inhale. Okay, so now this is a little bit tricky and we might get you to come to your device and have a look at this one because we've not really done it before. So Christy's going to set that mat up like this again. And you're going to need a block up against the wall, a flat block. And then a block out to your left side on the... Yeah, I'll show you what you'll do. So you're going to come to kneeling, and come to lying on your abdomen. But before you lay your abdomen down, you're going to take your right leg across and underneath the body. Left leg like this. So this is going to show. Yeah. And the left, no, you're going to face me, Christy. Yeah. So now the right leg, take it underneath you, out. Yeah. That's it. So you're going to do a lying twisting Ardha Chandrasana.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll help you with the blocks. Yeah, the foot is up on the block. And the other foot is up on the block. Up. Yeah, and the foot is flush to the wall. So now Christy's just going to have a look at her legs and see that they're at a right angle. Yes, which they are. No, you don't have to take that too high. Up. With this foot, you put it up on the block as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so now she is doing a lying Ardha Chandrasana. So one leg, her right leg is out this way, left leg straight back to the wall. Now she's going to push into the feet, push into the inside edges of the heels. Extend the inside edge of the heel, and then you're going to bend the elbows and turn the trunk down towards the floor. Yeah, so you're going to lay your chest towards the floor. Press out through the feet there. Now she might come up a little bit and turn again. Tuck the outer right hip away from you a bit and lift the outer right hip up. So here what I'm asking Christy to do is just taking this back a bit, yeah. Yeah, and now inhale, exhale, turn. Use your arms. Turn the chest to face the floor. Left ribs cut down towards the floor. Right ribs lift away from the floor. And super active through the inside heels. Legs actually so dynamic. You're going to do this in standing in a minute, so this is preparing. Now where's the hardness there? In the bottom ribs, can you turn them further? Yeah, maybe even turn the head. Which way is the head? Oh, you're facing that way. Yeah, good. Couldn't see with your hair which way your head was facing. Yeah, you can keep coming up and coming down a bit like Christy is. So you're encouraging that twisting action. But absolutely keep the inside edges of the heels dynamic, extended, groins to inner heels. Okay, will we change? Yeah, that's quite an intense one, isn't it? But it's good, I think. It gives you, it gives you a reference of where your body's. It's not easy, no. So now you're going to take the left leg underneath you out to the side and right foot to the wall. Yeah, and put the right foot up on the block, left foot up on the block. Tuck the outer left hip away from the waist as you lay down. So you might need to lift it up a bit and tuck. Yeah, that's it. Now, press out through the inside heels. Keep the groins wide. And then revolving the chest. It also really might show up your tighter side. For some of us it might be a bit more even. So keep coming up a little bit, using your arms, lever the chest. Absolutely hold the inside heel there to the wall and the left inside heel out towards the chair. Turn the abdomen, turn the trunk. Exhale to turn the abdomen. And then once you've done a few times coming up and down, then you might just see if you can let the chest, the abdomen, the chest come to the floor. So let there be a release, a softening in the upper back body, but hold that dynamic action in the legs. Deflate the front thighs. All right, and release. So now you're taking a snapshot of this, and you're going to take this to the facing the wall. What we might do, so now you're going to put yourself with your right hip again closest into the wall. Put one block in front of the toes, away from the toes, so like a distance out. But also what we might do, if you have got a chair, is use the chair to put the back leg up on. The back of the ankle. Don't worry about that block, Christy. And so now your left hand, can you probably go flat on the block? Left hand onto the block. Yeah. Yep. So if you've got a chair, then you can use the chair. Otherwise, it will be. Can you put the ankle up on the back on the here? Here on the high side. There. Yeah, that's it. That's easier. Okay. Now, in fact, you need to probably be a bit not so far away with the right foot from the wall. Yeah, wiggle in. Okay, good. Now, remember when you were doing this in the lying position, dynamic action through the inside heels. Press the inner heels, both inner heels. Cut the outer right calf away from the wall. Groins, widen the groins, but narrow the frontal hip bones in. And now press down through the bottom hand. And last week, Liz was saying about corkscrewing your left arm into the trunk. Corkscrew your left arm into the trunk, reach your right palm up. Hold that deflation in your left thigh. Good. How's that, Christy? She probably can't talk.
It's very twisty.
Very twisty, yeah. And then it's to turn the abdomen and chest. Exhale to revolve. And release. Good. Now, obviously, if you haven't got a wall, you can just do this in the middle of the room. And actually, I might just quickly show the chair. Well, the way you can do it in the middle of the room, Chris is going to set up the other way, is by using a chair, and you're going to do it like this with the chair. Okay? So those that haven't maybe got all that wall space. So let's go to the left side. Place yourself. So outer left calf, cut in, straighten up through that left leg, suck it up into the hip. Take the left inner groin, still keep it wide and back towards the back leg. Now reach the right inside heel towards the chair and make that inner groin move towards the chair. Groins wide and broad, but narrow the frontal hip bones. Squeeze them in. And then revolve. Exhale to turn the abdomen. Inhale to draw the abdomen slightly towards the spine and then turn the navel up towards the ceiling. That's it. Now cut the right ribs down towards the floor. Corkscrew your right arm into the shoulder and left arm reach up. Absolutely hold that dynamic action through the inner heels. Press out. And release. Okay, you're going to do a uttanasana with your buttocks. Feet are slightly away from the wall. Maybe good foot distance out, the feet. Hook the buttocks up the wall and then fold the arms and go forward. You can be further out with your feet this evening. You're going to feel like you're really sort of leaning into that wall. At least a foot distance out. Hook the buttocks up. Fold the elbows, release the trunk down. Are you going all right heat-wise, Christy? Yeah. Fully release the sides of the trunk here. Neck, sides of the neck, back of the neck, release. And now you're going to make your way up. Inhale, lift the head up, slowly come up. And setting up for headstand, Salamba Shirsasana. If you're not doing headstand, you can do cross bolsters or go Dvipada Viparita Dandasana over a chair. Oh yeah, cross bolsters might be tricky for people at home. Otherwise, you can also lay out with a block between the shoulder blades and blanket bolster underneath the head. Place yourself, now those that can go up with a belt around the calves, let's say, like we've been doing, you could take a belt. But if you have a problem going up with a belt around the calves, then just don't. See. Yeah, no, you do what you need to do, Christy. Yeah. You might have a little friend there that can put the belt around your calves. Okay, take your time, don't rush, set the forearms, wrists down. You've done suddenly, you're going upside down now. You've done all your standing work and now you're inverting. Separate the feet as wide as you had when you had the blanket there. Not too wide, just a little bit. I want you to have that image that you still have the blanket there. Keep the eyes open, Christine. Slightly turn the head towards this way. A little bit. Yeah, that's it. Evenly, equally anchor the forearms, wrists down. Lift the shoulders up high. Keep the outside upper arm wrapping forward towards me. And the inner arm, by pressing the inner elbow, ascend the inner upper arm up high. Make that ascension go right through to the inner shoulder blade. So now with the feet in this position, just slightly apart, blanket width, Make that inner heel extend up higher than the outer foot. And take the inner groins back towards the wall behind. Back and up with the inner groins. Yeah, firstly they go back. Then the inside leg goes up. That's better. So you want to keep the groins wide, each side of the pubic plate. And now bring the feet together and knit the frontal hip bones slightly towards each other. As if you've got crisscrossing there, elastic band across the frontal hip bones. Narrow them in, but keep the groins wide and deep and back. Now cut the outer calves in where you had that blank belt. Good. There's our balancing. You can do this either in the balance or if it's easier with the feet to the wall firstly to establish the inner leg. And the outer portion from the outer thigh to the outer hip, like we did last week, about 20 centimeters below the outer hip there. Lift and firm, draw that to the hip, towards the navel, that direction. Outer leg to outer hips. Squeeze in. Now see that there is balance there. So front body to back body is balanced. Sides of the body are equally long. Let the eyes as if they look out to the back of the skull. See that the groins are still deep and back towards the wall. Relax the toes a bit, Christy. Yeah. Sometimes if we over grip the toes, then we can create quite a hardness in the groins again. So rotate the thighs in, take the groins deep and back. Keep them spreading away from each other. Yeah, that's better in the feet. But then against that spreading and widening of the groins, frontal hip bones, narrow them in. Now in your headstand you're going to go to Baddha Konasana. Exhale, heels down towards the tailbone. Keep the groins back and down. Widen the knees. And then Upavista, extending the legs out. Buttocks up and into the body. Now turn the feet slightly forward. So you want to keep the that's better, Christy. The toes in line with the shins, rather than turning the toes away from the shins. Cut the inner knees and inner thighs towards the wall. Inner groin still towards the wall. Can you widen the legs? Take your right leg down a bit more. Yeah. And now, super long legs. Inhale, bring them up. Now you'll feel that inside leg very acutely there. Turn the thighs deeply in. Release the groins down. But reach the inside heel leg up. Relax the toes again, Christy. And then coming down, if you can do straight legged, otherwise bend the knees into the chest. Brace the knees into the chest. Keep the shoulders lifted. And Adho Mukha Virasana. Okay, you're going to come up and set up into Upavista Konasana. So straighten the legs wide towards your device. If you need to sit up on height, sit up on height. You may also need a belt if you can't reach your toes. So sitting wide in Upavista. Upavista Konasana. So when you first sit in your Upavista Konasana there, I want you to see, take your awareness to your groins. Where are your groins? Are they coming up towards the ceiling? Or are you able to rotate the thighs slightly inwards and take the inner groins down? So if it's hard to take the inner groins down, that's where that height is going to come in. Height underneath the buttocks. So now cut the inside knees down more, Christy. And that's probably for everybody. Inside knees down. Extend out into the inner heel, like you've been doing. Firm the outer legs into the hips. Squeeze them in as if you've got a belt tight around the hips there. Squeeze. The groins broad and down, releasing them towards the floor. Now press into the palms and draw the sides of the trunk up. Roll the shoulders into the back. Sunburst your knees like we did last week. Sunburst your knees. Sunburst them to the floor. Exhale, deflate your thighs like you began with in your Supta Tadasana. Deflate the front thigh with your exhalation breath to the floor. But then let the sides of the trunk be uplifted. So as the thighs move deeper down, trunk comes up. Groins deep. Now you're going to go to Pajra. So you're going to turn to your right. Yeah. Holding one hand around the foot. The other hand, Christy. Put the other hand beside. So you're going to turn beside the hip. Yeah. So you're going to lift up and turn firstly here. Press your right hand down into the floor. Reach your left arm across and lift up and turn. So this is actually quite similar to that prone, the lying down Ardha Chandrasana twisting you did. So you want to really revolve the rib cage, revolve the abdomen here. Keep the legs absolutely glued to the floor. Inside heels extend, groins deep, wide down towards the floor. Lift up and turn further the trunk. Yes, so the navel comes across the inner leg there. And then other hand to the foot. Lift up briefly. You don't have to crisscross the arms. And exhale to go forward. Bending the elbows, move the trunk forward. Forward movement right from the base spine to the crown of the head. Keep that left inner groin cutting down to the floor. For you it's the right, Christy. Yeah. Can you lift up again? Inhale, turn the trunk further and reach it along that right inside leg. Now the lower ribs there need to turn more. Turn the lower ribs. Good, you're quite turned, that's good. Now you need to get the length, Christy. Exhale, breathe the length through the legs. Breathe into the backs of the legs. Yeah, and go forward. Change. Inhale, come up. Go to the center for a moment. Place the hands each side. Cut the inner knees down, groins deep and wide towards the floor, sides of the trunk uplifted, and now go to your left side. Place your right arm across, left hand beside the hip or thigh there. Press the left hand into the floor and lift up first. Lift up and turn. Remember, have that memory of what the inside leg needed to do in the twisting actions and that release of the groins. Inhale, turn the navel more, turn the abdomen more. When you've done enough, when you feel that you have done enough turning, then you can place the other hand forward, hold the hand with both, the foot with both hands. And lift up again, revolve and turn your right side trunk, right waist to the floor. And now exhale to move forward, deflate the front thighs as you move forward. Sunburst the knees as you move forward. Keep the shoulder, elbows slightly wide and moving the elbow crease forward. And then that last bit is turning, is it a twisting action in the rib cage? So for you, Chris, your left ribs, the others, the right ribs, move and turn forward more. Right, left ribs move back. Inner heels absolutely extended. And inhale to come up, release. Janushasana, so I might get you to be sideways, Christy. Left leg straight, right leg bent. And you just do the same side now. Yep. Put the right inner heel right up into the groin there. Now using belts as needed, hold, and height again underneath the hips as needed, hold around the foot. Now actually we're going to do the same twisting that you just did. So right arm across, left hand beside the hip, and lifting up and turning. Now both inner groins, deep and wide down into the floor, but also they're pulled back each side of the pubic plate. So extend the inner heels, push into the inner heels, draw the inner groins wide and back towards the buttock side. Lift up and turn, straighten that front arm, turn that rib cage, revolve. Good, so the navel comes more across, turn the navel. And then put the other hand to the foot, hold that twisting action, lift up briefly, back ribs in, and exhale to go forward. Yeah, those that can, you can go for the deeper interlock. Now, back of the knee there. Sunburst the back of the knee. Sunburst the back of the knee, that's it. But keep that right inner heel pressing into the left inner groin. So the groins now, with an inhalation and exhale, groins back each side of the pubic plate. Move them towards the buttock end. And then can you go further forward? Now open the back of the knee again, Christy. That left leg super open. Sometimes it is useful to sit up on a bit more height if you can't get those groins releasing back. So now on the second side, I'm going to get Christy to sit up on a bit more height to see if that gives her a bit more softness in the groins. And if you normally maybe sit on one blanket, you might try, 2, 3, 4 blankets or even a purple block. So other side. Sit right at the edge of that blanket so that it does help you tilting. Get your left inside heel to the right inner groin. And now again, put your left hand across. Let's do the twisting, turning action first. Pull on the foot, but draw the inner right groin back towards the buttock side. Inner left groin back towards the buttock side. Now lift up more, head up, Christy, and turn the navel. Yes, suck the navel around and towards the outer right hip. Yeah, right shoulder back more. And then place the hand around. Now lift up again, turn further near the navel band. Keep the groins wide and back. And then moving forward as you exhale. Sunburst your right knee. Sunburst in the back of the thigh. Now as you exhale, actually deflate your right thigh more. It's a better shape, Christy, for you with that bit of height. Can you feel that or not? Yeah, so often the height will help to allow the spine to go forward more. And there's maybe not as a hump in the back as much. Now knee, thigh to the floor. Right knee, right thigh to the floor. Inside heels, absolutely extend, push into them. Yeah, if those are going to do a deeper interlock, you can hold the wrists. And then inhale to come up.
Paschimottanasana. So I'm going to get everybody to sit up on a purple block now, so more height than maybe what you'd normally take. You can also add even a blanket in on top, those that need more height. And you're going to have head support, so that could be a chair, bolster, blankets, or the other purple block. Take what you might need there. Put it across the shins. Hook the buttock bones up onto that purple block. So just the buttock bones are on the purple block. If you're stiffer, you can work with your feet slightly apart. Yeah, actually everybody do the feet slightly apart, so you've still got that image of the blanket in between the inner legs. And then put your support across for the head. Hold around the feet. Yeah, put that bolster further. You've got that super big bolster. Now look up first. Hold the feet by a belt if needs be. Press out into the inner heel. Roll the top thigh deeply in towards each other. And widen the groins back towards the buttock side. More width in the groins, but then narrow the frontal hip bones in. And lift up from the groins releasing. Lift up. Groins releasing, lift up further, concave the upper back, suck the back ribs in, widen across the collarbones. Front body is not going to shrink as you lay it down, it's actually going to lengthen as you lay it over the legs. So lengthen the front body, groins widen back, and then put the head onto its support. Watch that the thighs are not subtly turning out. Roll the top thigh in, widen the groins, but narrow the frontal hip bones. And then move forward right from the tailbone to the top of the head. Now let the head quieten down. But with each exhalation breath, subtly move forward. Subtly move forward with each exhalation breath. I think Abby talked about gliding the body forward. Glide the body forward. Yeah, the inside groins releasing means that you are on the inner edges of the buttock bones more. And last week also we looked at just doing less effort with the arms, so make it more about the leg action. The arms quite, I'm not going to say passive, but reduce the muscular effort in them. And then you'll come up, inhale, put the hands beside the hips there, just roll the shoulders into the back, uplift the chest. And now setting up for shoulder stand. If you got equipment for shoulder stand, if not, you can either do Viparita Krani, legs up the wall, or bolster underneath the hips for Setu Bandha on blocks. Not bolster, block underneath the hips for Setu Bandha. I'm going to do shoulder stand.
Okay.
Yep.
I do love a good Viparita. Do you shoulder stand?
If you have got a spare belt, some of you have got elasticated belts, you could put that around the calves, the outer calves again. but otherwise just the belt around the arms is fine. Yep. Over into Halasana, walk yourself onto the tops of your shoulders and just make sure that 2/3 of the neck is supported on your blanket, 1/3 is off the blanket. So that's sort of a rough guide. But as you become more experienced, more of the neck can be on the blanket. Anchor the outer shoulders down, but also suck the inside armpit down into the floor. Put the belts on. Not the inside, the back armpit down into the floor. So outer shoulder heads press, but the inside, the back of the armpit suck down into the floor. Anchor the elbows and then up you go. Weight through the elbows there. Again, you can take the legs slightly apart, like blanket width that you had at the beginning. Take the groins deeply back towards the wall behind. Let them also release down each side of the pubic plate. Narrow the frontal hip bones in, and then start bringing the legs together, cutting the outer calves in towards the midline. But keep the groins back and down. And then just that middle buttock area that we spoke about last week, into the body, firm it in against the groins, cutting back. Now in Savangasana, the outer leg is a bit more, I'm going to say dominant, but taller. The outer leg wraps in towards the midline. And the inner leg, still you're reaching up through the inner heel, but it's slightly shorter than the outer leg. Let there be that real softness and release in the groins, so that the throat and just below the chin there can completely soften into Jalahara Bandha. Eyes looking deeply into the chest. Often there is a real relationship, or there is a relationship between throat, neck being quite hard and groins being hard. So once you're able to really get the groins releasing, just watch and see if that has an effect on the neck, throat. Let the eyes semi-close. Let the eyeball sit back in its socket. And just across the base of the skull there, completely release. You see if one leg is holding more than the other. There's one leg shrinking, your other one extending. And from time to time, adjust the hands down, uplift the back chest. See as you press the upper arms down that you're firming the shoulder blades into the back, up and into the back. So the chest gets that support from the back body. And now come to Halasana, either feet onto the floor or chair. Release the belt, extend the arms towards the feet. Press into the inside heel, let the groins be high and back. Like this is sort of an upside down Paschimottanasana in a way. Let the elbows relax to the floor. Again, see that the back of the head is spread to the floor. Now go to Kanapadasana. So when you bend the knees into your ears, keep the groins up really high. High and soft groins. So that the throat can completely release. Actually, and you might just hold around the feet actually, Christy, rather than doing that, yeah. Hold around the feet and pull the feet in. So the knees get an anchorage back into the shoulders. Back is broad, groins are soft, throat soft. Eyes quietly into the chest. And now, hands into your back, unroll your back. Yeah, and then if you can just take a moment there, but come quite quickly into Shavasana with the head supported. Any equipment on the thighs or underneath the knees as needed. And just check that you are in a straight line there as you lay out. Just have a look, Christy, because you're a bit crooked. No, have a look at your feet. Yeah. Yeah, always check the feet position if you're not sure. Clear the buttocks away from the waist, tuck the shoulders down, and any spare equipment you can put on the thighs. Now with your exhalation breath, completely let the thighs release. You did sort of that deflating, now there's a releasing, letting go of the thighs. But also the groins. Exhale deeply into the groins. And let then that release of the groins be felt right through to the toe tips. Also the release of the groins actually might be felt into the lower back. Let the armpit skin soften. Relax and release the armpit. Surrender the body into the floor. Is there any holding in the ribs? Diaphragm, let the diaphragm spread wide from the center to the sides, especially with your exhalation breath. Abdomen soft and broad. And again, see that relationship between groins releasing and the neck and throat soft. Slow, soft, smooth breath. Quieten and settle to the breath within the body. Coming out of Shavasana, slowly, quietly prepare the body to come out. You can start just uncovering the eyes and then bending the knees. Roll off onto your right hand side. Pause there. And then come up to sitting. Fold the palms onto the chest. See that the heart area is uplifted and open. Head is quiet. And with the next exhalation breath, bow the head down, surrendering to the inner spirit. And then inhale to release. So thank you, Christy. Well done. It's hard work being a student filming. I think it is anyway. So I hope you enjoyed the class and practice it lots. We'll see you next week. Thank you.